Today's project, we're replacing rotors, brake pads all around, front and rear on the E90 M3. We got this pads and rotors from FCP Euro, so we'll be replacing all around. Just pretty much basic maintenance. I don't know if you can see, but there's a pretty sizable lip on the rotor here. When I'm driving right now, it causes a little bit wobble, so this rotor is already past due. Yeah, the lip is so thick in the back too. Brake pads is still not bad, but since FCP Euro sell them as a kit, might as well replace them now, and I have peace of mind. I'm going to try to go through the steps, step by step, removing the old rotor, installing the brake pads, and that way hopefully if you watch this video, hopefully it will help you to save some money by not having to, pay hundreds of dollars for a dealer or even a shop to replace this. Because honestly, it's actually quite simple to replace these rotors and pads. So here are the parts that you will need to do this job. So the parts that I'll be using here is, well, I have some anti-seize just for this bolt here for easier removal in the future. I have some bendy nose pliers, some sturdy screwdriver, a C-clamp, 18 millimeter socket, this 1/4-inch ratchet, and I have an assortment of Allen socket here. I have size 5, 6, and 7, I believe. I also have a 1/4-inch extension and brake pad paste from BMW. This comes in the brake kit from FCP Euro. You will need this. If you don't have this, you can also use the silicone paste that you can get from any auto parts store. Also, to do the rear, you're gonna need a 16 millimeter socket to remove the caliper bracket, and then also big hammer just in case if the rotor doesn't want to separate, due to rust and whatnot. Because originally this car is from the East Coast, so there are some rust forming behind the rotor. So yeah, we will need that to separate the rotor from the hub if needed. So yeah, these are pretty much the tools that you will need to do this job. This is just for a precaution. I removed this cabin filter. There are only 2 Phillips screws. There's one right there, and there's another one on this side here. Just remove them. They look like this. So yeah, just plastic screw. Remove them, and then now you can move this aside. And then I just open the brake reservoir lid or cap, just so that when we were pushing the piston, it pushed some of the fluid back. That's where it's gonna get relief. We want to remove this shield here. We just remove it, pop it, and then the next thing you want to do, there are these 2 cap right here. So there's this one right here, this one right here, and there's a similar one right there. Yeah, that one. So pop that screw, and then inside I believe it should be a 5 millimeter Allen key, and then you're gonna loosen that part, and then we're gonna use your 16 millimeter socket to undo the bracket. So there's that one bolt right there, and the one right underneath it right there. So those 2. Almost forgot to mention, before you start undoing those bolts, you want to once you remove this cover here, use your C-clamp to compress the piston in, so that way this whole assembly for the piston will be able to slide out, and that way you can get access to the rotor. So here we go.
Brian Little.
Japan.
have space, or if you make it easier, you can also turn the wheel like so. This thing can fit in here, and that's where I'm going to put the caliper. If you have impact, definitely make your life a lot easier. I try. There you go. That's one. All right. Now this whole thing will just come right off. This is where you want to have this to rest it on. Alright. Alright, now that the caliper's off, now we have two 5mm Allen key here. Now I'm gonna cheat here and just use my impact. Okay, here we go. Jeez Louise. Another thing that will help is PB blaster. This thing is really stubborn, you know. Having been in East Coast, it's really not making it easy for me to remove this 5mm Allen key. So I got the other one out, so this is the last one. Just to make sure. Stripped it. Now we gotta extract it. So time lapse it is. That was a pain. So thankfully we managed to save the thread. So I already tested it with this old bolt that we have. So yeah, it's still there. Yeah, definitely putting anti-seize on the new bolt. I also got new bolts here. This is what victory looks like. Yep. So at least we got the old rotor out. Now we can go ahead and clean this surface here with some metal brush, and we'll install the new rotor and pad. And pretty much the installation is just the reverse of the removal. Also, since we're here, the kit that I bought also came with the brake pad sensor, wear sensor. So this is the old one. We're gonna take it out. Take it off this bracket here, and then it's gonna go into that box. You pop this box open like so. That white one right there on the top is the connection, so you're gonna take it out like that. And there's this push right here, push pin. Let's see if I can do it with one hand here. Oh, there we go. Just like that. Now you can remove it. We're gonna install the replacement for this. So again, the installation is just the reversal of the removal. So I'll put it on time lapse. So for the brake pads, I would just put the lube pretty much on where there will be metal to metal contact. So on the back right here, and the sides, top right here, the back right here too. So I'll put the lube, and then you're gonna install in a caliper. Alright, now that it's back on, don't forget your brake pad wear indicator. So this guy right here, there's a notch in there on the inner brake pad. That's where you're gonna put this guy in. There we go, like so. And don't forget to tuck the, I like to tuck this cable on the bleeder screw. There we go. All right, and last but not least is the anti-rattle. What I did to prep mine, I like to put a little bit grease or silicone on it. That way it's easier to install this. Oops. Okay. This thing can be a pain. Okay, here we go. Okay. All right, done with this side. So now we can move on to the rear one. One thing you would first need to do before you do the rear brake is to engage your vehicle in neutral. Now I'm working at night, so I don't want to wake up my neighbor. So this is a trick. If you have a DCT, this is how you do it. Okay, so there is this cover here. You slide that open. You see that white slot there? Insert your screwdriver and just pull it back like that. Now vehicle is in neutral. So you can just leave the screwdriver there. Once you're done, move it back up, it'll go back to park. So now we're ready to do the rear brake. If you forgot to do this, it's near impossible to remove the rotor because the parking brake is still expanded and then it's pushing against the inside of the rotor, so it's damn near impossible to remove it. So by doing this, it will make our job a lot easier. So now let's go ahead and remove our assembly. So it's done. Rear brake is done. Didn't break anything. Just kidding. Broke the brake pad wear sensor, which turns out to be quite a pain to replace because the wire is actually a lot longer than the front, and the connector is actually hidden somewhere back here. So gotta take off all, well, not all, some, like half of this clips here. There's that one there. There's that one on the top there, just to get access to the clip in the back. And then broke this bracket here, plastic as usual. broke all of that and just to replace this brake pad wear sensor here. So other than that, didn't break the retaining clip here or the anti-rattle clip. Everything went back in smoothly. Put anti-seize on this bolt right here, this one and that one, so for future replacement it's going to be easier to remove. Grease the brake pads on the top here, down there, and also on the back brake pad. Also the slider pin that goes in here, also grease as well. Clean the rotor surface front and back before installing. Other than that, it should be pretty straightforward. I keep saying straightforward, but it's not really straightforward because I ended up breaking some things. But yeah, few things to remember here. You know, if this is your first time doing this, just take your time. You know, don't rush it. Make sure everything goes back correctly and tighten the bolt. Other than that, you're done. So now we can put all these wheels back together. Next step to do is just to beat the rotor and the brake pad. So if you do find this helpful, please hit like and subscribe. Otherwise, if you have any question, please comment down below. Have fun replacing the brake pads on your M3. All right.